Porcupine Mountain.
We are on our way up to the Porcupine Mountains. The bridge is enclosed in fog. Rick, don't run us off this bridge in the fog. Get you goomy.
Backpacking in the Porcupine Mountain.
We have arrived at the Porcupine Mountains Wilderness Area Visitor Center to register for our backcountry campsites. Nice place.
75 views about it.
This is the road going into Lake of the Clouds. 6 miles. Parking lot is pretty empty. We are at Lake of the Clouds, taking the Big Carp River Trail to this point tonight. There's the Lake of the Clouds.
Porcupine Mountain.
Here's another beautiful view of Lake of the Clouds along the trail. And I am looking for Rick Veldman right now, and I know he's up here somewhere. We didn't know what to expect with mosquitoes and black flies, but there are hardly any on the trail right now, so we are pleasantly surprised. And we are following the blue blazes. Got a few short climbs right off the bat. Flowers are blooming. Lots of nice views along this section of the trail. The escarpment trail is behind us the other direction, but this one has its beauty too. Long ways down. Look at that. What a beautiful night. We are on the Big Carp River Trail. Got about 5 miles to our campsite tonight. Amazing night, about 75 out here, sunny, hardly any bug. It's gonna be a good trip, Rick. There's a lot of rock on this trail, which makes for easy footing when it's dry. Here's BC1 campsite. There's some columbine. We're passing BC campsite 2 here with a nice view. Campsite's back in there. Here's BC2. Here's BC3. Here's backcountry site number 3. Looks pretty nice. Most of them are vacant. 7 o'clock. We have departed the escarpment and now we're into some more old growth forest. There's a lot of nice big hemlocks in this area. We're walking through some beautiful old growth hemlock forest and some large maples. Starting to get dark in the woods. Been a really beautiful hike so far today, and it has got a little buggier once we left the escarpment. 8:22, there's a campsite down there along the river. Haven't seen the trail to it yet. We arrived at BC5. Here's the trail going into BC5, it's right next to BC4. It's got a bear pole. Here's our site. Some people have firewood here. It's all green, I'm pretty sure. And we are right on the river for our water source. Pretty scenic spot, and the mosquitoes aren't too bad. There's Rick's site. Oh, he's got his new bug suit on. Look at that, his new bug suit. Man, can I borrow that on this trip, please? Not enough. Here's our BC5 site. Trails right up on that ridge. Got my gossamer, got the fire pit right here. Stream down there, and Rick is set up over here. BC4 is just a couple hundred feet that way. Here's BC4, about the same as ours. Ours has a few more tent sites. Sunday, June 7th. It probably stayed in the low 60s last night, I'm guessing. Beautiful morning. Hardly any mosquitoes out here. Sun's coming up. And there's camp this morning. The Big Carp River. Rick's doing it up with oatmeal today. Yeah. Rick almost caught on fire this morning with his stove. The flame was like 3 inches from his face and it almost exploded. We're leaving our camp, heading back to the Big Carp River North Country Trail. Back on the Big Carp River Trail, which is also the North Country Trail at this point. We got to cross the Big Carp River, and the water is not too cold. Actually feels pretty good on the feet. Here comes Rick, and he could hit a sinkhole and just disappear into the abyss of the bowels of the river. We made it across the Big Carp River. Quite the adventure. Here's campsite BC6. It's a nice one. Yesterday we started at Lake of the Clouds, camped here at BC5. Now we are at the junction of the Correction Line Trail. We are going to take the Correction Line Trail to Mirror Lake. We're going left here. We are now on the Correction Line Trail, leaving the North Country Trail and Big Carp River Trail. Getting pretty wet in this area. Pretty swampy in this area today. It would be a real slog through here after a heavy rain. Rick's gonna get some muddy feet. Jack in the pulpit. Lots of water on this Correction Line Trail. Here's a pretty big hemlock. There's a few deadfalls on the trail, but overall they're pretty well maintained, except for all the mud on the Correction Line Trail. Maybe we're climbing up out of the swampy area now. Correction Lines Trail is not one of my favorite trails out here. Pretty wet, buggy, some breeding grounds. Pretty rocky brook. Some rock. Getting back into some old growth forest here. I think I can see Mirror Lake up ahead. 11 o'clock, arrived at Mirror Lake. Finished the Correction Line Trail. Pink lady slipper. There's Mirror Lake, and we're heading down the South Mirror Lake Trail to check out the cabins. Mirror Lake. Heading up the South Mirror Lake Trail, gonna go to Government Peak. A large deadfall. Gonna turn off on the Summit Peak Trail tower. Here's Summit Peak. Here's a view at Summit Peak. View from the boardwalk at Summit Peak. The South Mirror Lake Trail from Mirror Lake to Summit Peak wasn't the prettiest trail, but it was worth seeing Summit Peak. It was a very good view there. A lot of the South Mirror Lake Trail is pretty wide, well-traveled trail. Heading back to Mirror Lake. 2:30, made it back to Mirror Lake. Campsite is this way. There's SML site number 1 on Mirror Lake. Here's SML site number 2, not very large. Ours is this way. Here's Mirror Lake from our campsite. We got bear boxes at our site. Here's SML4, not a bad spot. Here's our camp at SML3, and this is the best site out of the 4 in this area. Got the lake, fire pit, Rick set up over there. We got plenty of room. Some beautiful hemlock trees on our site. Got a little after dinner fire going tonight. Not gonna be a big one. And the mosquitoes are completely gone, but there's some gnats hanging around, some black flies. The forecast was no rain. There was no rain in the forecast for this trip, but we woke up to rain this morning and heavy duty mosquitoes. Good morning, Rick. Rick decided to go without his rain fly last night and then woke up to dripping water on him. Wondered what was going on. We are on the trail, heading to Lake of the Clouds. Beautiful in here this morning. When everything's wet, it makes it prettier somehow, greener. There's the correction line trail where we came in yesterday, and we are headed to the North Mirror Trail, which will take us all the way to Lake of the Clouds. Here's the Mirror Lake number 4 bunk, and these bunkhouses come with canoes, which is nice. Do some fishing, and they have an outhouse in this area. The loon is out there calling this morning, and another bunkhouse. 4 canoes here. This is a Mirror Lake cabin. Major stream crossing this morning. Rick's testing the area. This is ML number 1 site. Very nice. It's a gorgeous morning and the rain is stopping. And here's the North Mirror Lake Trail, which we are taking, but I'm going to go check out these other campsites quick. Here's ML2. This is really nice. Lake's right there. They got a bear pole at these sites. ML3, and they're all vacant today. Nice one. Pretty little pond. Lots of toads along the trail. This is a very well-used trail going from Lake of the Clouds to Mirror Lake. What do you think of this trail, Rick?
It's cool.
It's starting to rain again in the swamp. The mosquitoes are ferocious in here. Trail crews haven't been out trimming yet this year in this area. Very thick. The intersection of the Government Peak Trail going that way. We're going to continue on the North Mirror Lake Trail. This trail is very muddy. We didn't get that much rain last night, at least at our campsite. This reminds me of Rocksylvania on the Appalachian Trail. North Mirror Lake number 2 camp. Coming into some ravines. Got a stream down there. This is a really pretty spot here. Bridge is in disrepair. There's parts of this North Mirror Lake Trail that are very mosquito infested. These are the Lake of the Clouds 1, 2, 3 campsites. Here's one, and it is mosquito infested. They got a pit toilet. The other two are back in there. 1 mile to Lake of the Clouds. We're supposed to camp here tonight at that Lake of the Clouds 3. There's no way we're doing it. The mosquitoes are so bad. We're gonna have to do something else. It's crazy. There's the overlook up there. Here comes the rain. It's the Lake of the Clouds cabin over there. And we are starting our climb up to the top. We're doing our climb. Got a long ways up to the escarpment. Saturday, we started at Lake of the Clouds, parked the car in the parking lot, hiked up to just before the Correction Line Trail, and then camped there. The next day, Correction Line Trail up to Mirror Lake, camped at Mirror Lake, and then I did a day hike to Summit Peak and back. And then today on Monday, we hiked down on the North Mirror Trail back to Lake of the Clouds. And 11:18, we are right here in Lake of the Clouds that way. This whole thing's shaking like crazy. That one almost got me, but I was quick as lightning and snatched him. Well, we're back on the pavement, back to civilization. I've seen this view many times. Across that bridge this morning. This is where it all began. We're back safely, and parking lot's pretty empty. We're at the Government Peak Trailhead, and we are going to hike 2.25 miles into Trap Falls and back. This looks like a cobblestone pathway at the beginning of this hike. Canada lilies, starflower, partridge berry, coming into the hemlock forest. Trap Falls 1.6. There's some sign of some ancient beaver activity. Probably a few beaver swimming around in here, maybe some otter. There's some big Solomon seal. It's a different fern. This is my favorite trail so far we've hiked down this week. It's just gorgeous. And there's no bugs, even though there's swamp. It's a large sugar maple. This is a beautiful campsite. Campsite is right on the river. Campsites are right down there. Trap Falls, 0.3 miles. My hand is turning black and blue and swelling. I just wiped out. Oh my. Oh, yeah. There's Trap Falls. Almost died trying to get here. There's some falls right above Trap Falls. And there's Trap Falls down there. It's a little leopard frog. There's a very old white pine by Trap Falls. We got to Trap Falls about 3:45. It was a really nice hike into Trap Falls. 5:08, made it back to the car. Very nice hike. We went into Silver City, had a hoagie, went back to the visitor center and made a reservation for a site here on the Government Peak Trail. We just got off this trail, we're heading back in. Beaver. We arrived at GP campsite number 2, tonight's lodging. There's the view from our campsite, river down below. Rick's down here at Government Peak site number 2. He's right on the river. It's gonna lullaby him to sleep tonight, the gurgling brook. And I'm up there on site number 1 up on the hill. Rick, what do you think of this site? It's primo. Got a blaze going. 9 o'clock, starting to get dark. Head to bed pretty soon. Up there's my tent. Had a good day today. We hiked out from Mirror Lake on the North Mirror Lake Trail to Lake of the Clouds. Then we drove over to Bonanza Falls, checked those out. Then we went back to Government Peak Trailhead and hiked to Trap Falls. Then we hiked back, went to the visitor center, got a permit to camp at the Government Peak campsites, number 2, and spent the night, had a nice fire, and it's 9 o'clock, ready for bed. And we got a delicious hoagie sandwich at a bottom. Tuesday morning, rained last night, but beautiful morning, no bugs out here. And we are gonna walk down this ridge to these waterfalls near a campsite. Check. Some nice falls here. Here's my tent, and right down there is the waterfall. Pretty cool. And over that ridge, it's really cool, another valley. We're hiking out today. It's a beautiful morning. Sun's coming out.
Backpacking
Morning.
in the Porcupine
Beautiful night out here. Yeah.
Interesting backpacking style out there.
Backpacking in the Porcupine Mountain.
Well, 9 o'clock, made it back to the trailhead.